So often people talk about having solutions to the problem or solutions to the question and never have a solution. They just have an issue. And in the case of the Miami Hurricanes, there's a big issue that's become glaring within this football team, and that's the fact that the Miami Hurricanes do not have a reliable tight end. And having a reliable tight end is critical for the success of any quarterback. You can look back at all the great quarterbacks that have played in college football and the NFL. They typically have a very reliable tight end. I mean, look no further than Patrick Mahomes in the NFL. We can largely attribute a great deal of his success to Travis Kelsey. Without Travis Kelsey, would Patrick Mahomes be the quarterback that he is today? Would he have had the success that he has had today? Carson Beck has received a truckload of criticism from a lot of people because of what he's not doing. Well, one of the things that he doesn't have is a tight end that can actually catch the ball consistently, run routes consistently, and be that safety valve so that when he's in trouble or when there's an issue, he can look right for his tight end and get the ball to the tight end, and the tight end's going to make a play one way or the other. And in the situation with this team right now, we currently have a couple of tight ends who line up at the position, but when it comes down to the reality, if you need them to make a play, they seem to be unable to do so. You look at the situation right now with Alex Bauman, who, and of course, this is just reality, and this is constructive criticism as to issues that exist within this program. But you look at Alex Bauman, who's a 6'5, 250-pound tight end who can block at a decent level, not a great level, but a decent level. However, catching the ball and running isn't exactly his strong suit. And prior to this year, you know, he played at Tulane. So he has 63 catches at Tulane. I mean, but realistically, this isn't Tulane. And he hasn't looked remotely close to a guy who played like that at Tulane. When you look at Elijah Lofton, and again, another guy here who was supposed to be some top shelf type of guy. He's 6'3", 240. I see him listed at 242 here on the Hurricanes website. I've seen him listed at 230 on other sites. He is someone that simply is not able to block very well and then drops big passes like he did against SMU in the end zone that should have been an easy touchdown. So we have a couple of tight ends that are greatly limited. Neither of them are speed demons. Neither of them are true safety valves. And we don't have an answer for the problem or an answer for that question. Well, I have a solution and I have a thought that maybe people might be interested in hearing. And I don't think it's ever going to happen, but it's something that I would be looking definitely into based on how we utilize our position players. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Show. Might hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts of my idea. I'd love to hear what you think about it because if you look at this team right now on the roster, you do have tight ends, but they're not playing. So, when you look at it from a perspective of let's look at who our tight ends are. We got Dylan Raymond. Oh, okay. Let's start off with Elijah Lofton, Brock Schott. He's a freshman. Owen Ruskovich. He's a redshirt sophomore. Dylan Raymond. He's a redshirt freshman. Hunter Carver. He's a redshirt freshman. Jack Nickel. He's a redshirt junior. Jackson Carver. He is a redshirt sophomore. And Alex Bauman. He's a senior. And Luca Gilbert. He's a freshman. So none of these other guys are getting on the field, which means realistically the coaching staff doesn't think these guys are ready to play on this team. But there is a player who is getting playing time right now on this team who is a pass catcher. And while he doesn't play tight end, he does play wide receiver. And that's the form of Joshua Moore. Joshua Moore is 6'4", 215 pounds. He's a big target. While he isn't the size of a typical tight end, When you're playing a tight end who's 230 to 240 pounds and 6'3", well, Joshua Moore is not much smaller than that guy, and Joshua Moore would provide uh, a great deal of mismatch issues for opposing defenses. With his speed, with his size, with his ability to catch the ball, get open, you could line him up right on the line of scrimmage, and you could create stuff with Joshua Moore out of the tight end position. Now, might you struggle with blocking a little bit? It's possible. You got to train him. You got to work with him. And I'm not saying this is an end all, be all, and this is what happens to Joshua Moore's playing career, that he moves from wide receiver to tight end. I'm saying this is something that you consider right now because we've got 4 games left and we have a glaring issue at the position. The issue is and because that issue exists, we are seeing situations where when Carson Beck doesn't have anyone to go to downfield because the pass patterns are very, very bland and vanilla, and it's the same type of pass pattern every play, he opts down to a check down, you know, 2 yards away. Whereas a tight end is not typically 2 yards away. A tight end typically can find a way to get himself open. And I do think it's something to consider. And while I don't think they will consider it, I bring it up because people ask for solutions to a problem, and here's an option. Here's an option because right now Joshua Moore's not getting enough playing time at wide receiver, in my opinion. He should be playing a lot more than he is. He's not, and rather than waste away his freshman season and eat up the fact that he can't redshirt now, why not move him to tight end for the rest of this season and give him some opportunity to get on the field, create mismatches right up the seam. I mean, imagine a linebacker trying to guard Joshua Moore. It's like it would be barbecue chicken. Imagine a safety trying to guard Joshua Moore. Again, barbecue chicken. He's too fast. He's big. He is big. 6'4", 215 is a big dude, and he's going to catch the ball. Again, you do have the questions about blocking and so forth. It's not like the Hurricanes are blocking all that great right now from that position. It really isn't. You see these guys getting blown off the ball. I know for a fact that Lofton is not considered a good blocker. So if he can't block and he's not catching the ball consistently and he lacks speed, and Ballman is very, very similar. Okay, he blocks a little bit better, but he can't run. And I mean, they both dropped passes against SMU, and both of those drops were very, very costly. Well, why not take a flyer at it? Why not give it a shot? Why not have an experiment and see what happens? It's an option. It is an option. I mean, if you remember, I don't remember. Let me see here. I remember when Clive Walford came to Miami. Clive Walford might be 6'4", 255 right now in the NFL, but Clive Walford was not 255 at Miami. He was 235 at Miami. And when he got to Miami, he was probably 215. So he is not a guy, and he played tight end. He played tight end. So you know when you look at it and see what he weighed coming out of high school, he wasn't a lot bigger than um he wasn't a lot bigger than Joshua Moore. I mean, he really, really wasn't. You look at his max preps profile, he was 6'5", 6 at Miami he's listed at 6'4", 235. When he was in high school, he was listed at 6'6", 225. So yeah, he wasn't 6'6" because he's not 6'6" right now. And he was damn sure not 258 pounds as he's listed right now in the NFL. But he was probably about 225, 220. He was much smaller. What's the difference here? And I'm not saying that we're developing Joshua Moore to become a tight end. I'm not saying that at all. But you know what? Maybe we are. Maybe you find something. Maybe you create something. There's been plenty of situations in the history of this program where we have seen guys play different positions. I mean, you can go look at the history of the program. Go look at DJ Williams. He's brought in as a linebacker, number one linebacker in America. He ends up playing fullback for at least for a year, playing fullback in that 2000 team because we had a need. because he also played running back in high school. He also played the running back fullback position in high school. So they needed a fullback. He played fullback and he made plays. He made plays as a fullback in 2000. Go look at Sam Shields, brought in as a wide receiver. What happened to this guy in the NFL? Becomes a great NFL cornerback. We moved him to corner, I believe it was his senior year, whatever, late in his college career. We moved him to cornerback because it wasn't working out at wide receiver. Again, another possibility. Like these things are what you're supposed to do as coaches: experiment and figure out what works. Because what's being done right now is not providing Carson Beck an adequate outlet valve when there's issues. Again, look at all the great quarterbacks. When he was at Georgia 2 years ago, he had Brock Bowers, best year of his career. Best year. Last year, he doesn't have Brock Bowers. He has a bunch of wide receivers that are dropping passes. Not the same season. And people start saying, oh, he stinks. He can't do this. He can't do that. To the point where they have mentally convinced themselves that he's not very good. Because in two of the Miami's 8 games, he has 6 of his 9 interceptions. One of which was a drop pass by one of his players. So these things are there. Willis McGahee played fullback at Miami before moving to running back. We all know why it happened, but he did it. He did it. So why have Joshua Moore toil on the bench, get minimal snaps per game when you can get him on the field a lot more, change it up a bit, do things that the defense is probably not going to be looking for, but then at the same time create mismatches that they have no answer for. So that's my thought. I think that's something they should look at. They're not gonna, more than likely, but when you're 6'4", 215, you have that ability and you can create massive mismatches with him at tight end. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This is Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast.